Welcome to Not a Star Wars Podcast. Oh, gotcha. Ooh. Just kidding. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. How are you today? This is our Monday show, our news show, where we're going to get into more of a look into our take on the Mandalorian trailer, speculation, what do we think the show's going to be about, things we saw, things we were surprised we didn't see, the whole shebang about the Mando trailer, as we are about 8 days away from the show coming out. 8 days from Mando. That is absolutely insane. We're also going to talk about the Game of Thrones guys taking off and other stuff like that. And joining me, as always, the base is open. Their keys fit in the lock. They opened it up. They turned the lights on. They turned the heat on. It is James and Lacey. Guys, how are you? Good to see you.
Dude, I'm glad that my favorite indie band, 8 Days to Mando, got a shout out.
8 Days to Mando.
Yeah. They're starting to get big, though, so I'm kind of over them.
Like they sold too many records and they're not your special thing anymore?
Yeah. Like their first record was good, but now that they're putting out a second...
Is that a real band?
8 Days to Mando?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on Victory.
What?
He's making that up. Lacey, do you have any bugs in your house right now?
No, I don't, but I know you're probably wondering, who is this girl? She has a haircut. Who could it be? It's me.
I think that was the first
probably
thing people
didn't recognize me because of my short hair.
Right. You know what would be really impressive if our audio listeners knew that you got a haircut somehow?
Oh, yeah.
They don't. That's right. I'm so sorry.
They're like, something's not quite long.
They're like, Lacey, how am I supposed to know that by the inflection in your voice? Are you mad, woman?
Who is she?
Yeah. Guys, have you set up your D23 accounts? You guys ready to roll? Or not D23, Disney Plus? Because I haven't yet. I have my code still, but I haven't set it up.
I'm really
I literally
slacking.
don't understand how you guys have not done that.
I keep
Laziness,
forgetting.
Just pure, yeah.
It's one of those things like millennial, what is it? Like easy tasks that we just procrastinate, like answering emails, like just dumb stuff. This is one of those things.
Yeah.
I was too busy getting a haircut.
Yeah, you got a haircut, big haircut. So I wanted to bring up one thing before we hop into the Resistance report. Because this happens a lot, and it's how things like catch fire and whip around fandom. And usually it starts with like either a fan account that has a lot of followers because all they do is just post like memes and that kind of thing, or it comes from like one blog and then like everyone thinks it's real, so they launch it out there and then other people pick it up and no one remembers where it came from.
Right.
Like rumors about stuff. Like we'll talk about this more in the next segment and especially on Thursday, but like Benioff and Weiss, like the day after the announcement came out they were leaving, like so many rumors just came out about how they left and stuff. And I don't want to get into the specifics on it right now, but have you guys noticed just how rumors just explode and then people immediately just assume, well, that's what happened because I just saw someone tweet it.
I just think the internet's a tough place to operate in because it's
crazy.
It functions on clicks and retweets, and I think people just tend to say whatever they can say just to... I've noticed the trend that we've been calling it called it culture lately. This trend that's happening over the past 3 to 4 months where people are saying, oh, I've been hearing things, but we'll see. But they have no basis to what they're hearing. And it could be whatever. And then it just like people run with it. Like the trailer date from Boyega's manager or whatever, like... just weird stuff, and I don't understand. Like, this goes back to like speculate responsibly, like share things on social media responsibly.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You know, this goes back to one of my favorite movies, Speed Racer, where in the movie the villain character says, I'm going to hit your family with a lawsuit over stolen parts or something like that, and Speed is like, everybody will know that won't be true or you know what I mean? We'll be able to fight that or whatever. And he goes, yeah, but that'll take months for you to disprove all that or whatever. The headline will be, it will be enough to ruin you and your family. And it's just like
Yep.
that type of stuff is so crazy. I also saw something recently where they were talking about, everybody's going to read this, the main story. No one's going to read the redactment like later when they like solved it and they're like, oh, turns out that wasn't actually a thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I've seen so many stories of just like news stories and things over the years where like bath salts. Do you guys know that bath salts have like nothing to do with everything you think that they are?
Oh, I believe it.
There's literally like, it's just all speculation. People being like, oh my God, that guy did something crazy. Must have been on bath salts. And it like, that just feeds it.
Wait, so we're not suggesting people should go eating bath salts or anything.
No. But
Right.
but like, it just has nothing to do with anything that it's associated with at all. It's like a made up thing.
It's like that meme.
But it happens.
Like the meme that went around that you love, James, of the fake Sebastian Shaw next to Mark Hamill, which is really Sebastian Shaw as Mark Hamill. And people are like, that guy looks just like Mark Hamill. He's got to play.
Because they took his facial features and put them on Sebastian Stan.
But people think that's Sebastian Stan.
It's not.
It's
not him.
Right.
It's a made-up fictional morph of them.
So it's like people see that, and then your eyes trick your mind, and then you're like, that must be true because I'm seeing it. And then then you have that. That's a visual thing. But then you have like someone quote tweeted a tweet of someone sharing a snippet from a Reddit post that came from a podcast talking about the Game of Thrones guys. So think about that chain of command and think back to that game we used to play when we were kids called Telephone, where it's like, all right, so the word is, I'm holding up the bank with a banana. And then it gets around to like 14 people. And then it's like, I eat pancakes with a bandana. And it's like, no, that wasn't the sentence. And it's like, people do that, but they do it with information about important stuff. And then fans just like see it and like, oh, well, how many followers does that account have? 90,000? That information must be real then. And then it just gets like thrown in these blogs and stuff. And it's absolute insanity what happens. And it turns out like none of it's ever true. But then you have fans as a culture, like hardcore fans, like galvanized to believe this thing. And then it needs to be combated. It's just like, it's a never ending losing battle. And you just got to, all I have to say is like, watch where you get your information. Always ask questions and doubt most stuff you see, especially if it's on Reddit. That's all I'm going to say about that.
But how happy did Hayden Christensen look at Disneyland?
Can I say something? That's the guy from Shattered Glass, right?
Yes.
Okay. He did look really happy.
I just wanted to bring it back to a happy point.
No, I know, but I think it's also good to point those types of things out for people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be in The Rise of Skywalker? Because that's the other thing people are running around with.
Yes, but not because him going to Galaxy's Edge doesn't prove that to me. I just think he is going to be.
It's a good time to be a prequel fan, though.
It's a good time to be Hayden Christensen.
Well,
but like there are other actors that could be going to Galaxy's Edge that were involved in the movies and stuff, like what's her name? I can't think of it right now. Natalie Portman. Like
Alec
again,
Guinness was spotted there recently.
Like she could be going there and celebrating and stuff too, but it's kind of like one of those things where I think Hayden's like playing ball. You know?
Smart.
Because he's like associated with Lucasfilm again, sort of, maybe. I don't know.
Well, also, he's Canadian, and they don't have very good theme parks.
What?
I went to I'm not trying to joke, but they did have one good theme park
John,
in
what's
Toronto.
your source on this? Don't let people run with this rumor.
No, I went to the Paramount Park once, though, in Toronto, and they had a Top Gun roller coaster. It was pretty awesome, so I can't say that. But anyway... James, we have some stories to get into, and the Resistance Report is where we do that. So why don't you take us on that journey right now?
It's the Resistance.
All right, well, here's the journey, guys. Mandalorian trailer, boom, it's out. It dropped the other day. We all saw it. Lots of reused footage. but some new footage. Let's talk about it. Lacey, we did a reaction thing. You put that together. Very good. Loved it.
Thanks.
Got a lot of clickety clicks, people watching us react. What did you think of the trailer? What was popping out to you?
So I thought the trailer was fun. It's hard because we just came off of watching The Rise of Skywalker, where it's like an emotional roller coaster. And then you go onto this one and it's just like fun to watch. Like you're like, oh, yay. And I felt like my reactions weren't great because people were probably like, oh, she doesn't care about this. But it's just because I was almost crying and then screaming. And then anyway.
It's gonna destroy me.
It's gonna the main theme. So I thought that this trailer was really cool. Like you said, James, I think they showed a lot of stuff that we've already seen, so it was kind of disappointing. I was hoping to see a little bit more from stuff, but I loved seeing Cara and the Mandalorian do like their crazy high five, which makes me think that they're not romantic love interests, because we said this months ago. We were asking like, will of the Force, will they, won't they? And I remember I initially was like, oh, they have to be, because the footage that we saw was them rolling around, like doing that kind of like romantic comedy like role. She ends up on top of him, whatever.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, but I think honestly, now that we see that clip of them, I think that's them laying the groundwork of like, no, they're just buds. Like they're just in this together. And I could see a scenario where they're both given the same job and they have to like get the same person, but then they like end up finding out that like the job isn't what they're going for. It's actually them, kind of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I was going to say,
as I was saying it, I was like, that's basically the plot of this movie.
The more she goes, I'm like, I think she's just describing the plot to Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I am. So basically that, just like not with Angelina and like with Gina Carano. But away from that, we saw a lot more creatures. I am so excited for all the creatures in this movie, or not movie, in the show. Because we say this a lot on the podcast, like there is a creature alien kind of lacking for the sequel trilogy, I feel anyway. You see them in like cantina scenes and Canto Bite, but other than that, like we don't see a lot of them. And in this trailer, we saw a ton of different species, and we saw that big like rhino thing. Do we have a name for that yet? Or not yet?
I don't think we have a name for the rhino thing. Although we do have a name of, I noticed when we were watching the trailer.
We said dewbacks. It's blurgs.
You said dewbacks. They're not dewbacks. Yeah.
They're blurgs, which I love that name.
Which have shown up in some other canon as well.
Looked like one of the creatures from the arena in Attack of the Clones to me.
Yeah, it did, but I don't.
Or whatever.
But I don't think that's what it is. But I get what you're saying.
I'm just saying it looked like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a less colorful version. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I'm sure we're going to talk about a little bit more, but like there's flashbacks to prequel droids and stuff like that. And those are probably flashbacks, but I don't want to say everything. So I'm going to let John go.
Yeah. Well, I'll set up John for that. So that was something that we had, I think actually Star Wars Explained is where I heard that. He was thinking about how old that technology must be, and he said that Molly pointed out that maybe that's just straight up a flashback. Maybe that baby is someone in the show currently, and we're just seeing like what happened back in the time when there were battle droids and like.
I think it's him.
You think it's him? I thought it was a girl. I can't tell baby gender. Who can tell baby gender?
I think it's him as like a shocking, like, why am I such a jaded tough guy? This is why I saw my parents die.
Oh, Batman?
That could be.
Yeah. I'm just pulling from all pop culture, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Batman.
Is the Mandalorian's mom named Martha by any chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Martha.
How does Zorro play into this? Yeah. All right, John, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
Well, first, I know there's at least 2 Predator references in the trailer, which is cool. You got the handshake, which is clearly the Carl Weathers, Arnold, who's got a bigger muscle handshake. Very 80s. And then you have Bill Burr, who has the 2 blasters and the shoulder blaster like the Predator does in Predator. So I thought that was cool. And Carl Weathers obviously was in Predator. So that's kind of interesting to me. It'd be funny if like Carl Weathers was like, it would be cool. We did this in that Predator movie. Let's get a blaster on his shoulder too. So then he's shooting and then he's got the thing on the shoulder. But anyway, Werner Herzog, dialogue misdirection, because that line, "Don't you agree?" was paired with two different things in each trailer. So in the footage, like we saw earlier, he said, "It's a complicated profession, don't you agree?" And then in this trailer it was, "You're the best at what you do, don't you agree?" So where does that line really exist? And is it even in the show? So watch out for that. Mm-hmm. And then Ugg Nolte, the Ugnaught, played by Nick Nolte, who I'm calling Ugg Nolte. It looks like he is going to be working with Martha's son, Mando, in freezing his catches and helping him transport them. The easiest way to transport something that is hostile, freeze them up, load them in, ship them out. So I think he's going to be hiring the Ugnaughts. Ugnaughts are known for the carbonite freezing on Cloud City. So he probably lassos them up, freezes them for Mando, and Mando ships them out, and they have a little like deal with each other. So I think that's definitely going on there. And then as far as the droid stuff went over my head until people pointed it out, then I was like, oh yeah, I saw that too. But I don't know. Flashbacks could be a thing. It helps fill backstories. We've talked about that on the podcast. It's an easy way now to help develop a character in sort of a quick way. But
I totally forgot to mention that
Baney, that's all.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I totally forgot to mention that Bill Burr was in that trailer. And I feel like I've been talking about that for months, and I didn't mention it.
The only reason why you're watching this show is for Bill Burr.
I know. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I forgot to mention Bill Burr. He's in this show finally.
He's playing Lobot's son, actually.
The funniest thing about the reaction, by the way, James, I don't think I've told you this yet, is when I see Bill Burr, you go, Lacey's going to be really excited about Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like really passive about it. Yeah. I actually said this. We did a patron, like, higher tier chat, personal chat or something like that. And I was telling them, hot take a little bit. I don't think he looks very good. I think that he kind of looks almost like he's about to laugh. Like he almost, to me, just barely like comes around the corner like a little like pew pew pewy, like, oh look, I'm being serious and I'm blasting blasters out of space blasters.
I don't know.
That I got a little bit of that, and I think maybe that might be in my head because of like, I don't know, his outside talk about the, like, oh, I always make fun of the Star Wars fans, and he thought it would be funny. So then when he gets there, he's like, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, oh, we'll make it look cool, but like you can only save it so much. But I don't know. I don't know anything about the guy. I've never seen him do stand-up. I've only ever seen him do interviews about Mandalorian, nothing else. So he's literally just like a new actor to me. So
the best is when you said, I don't like how he looks in The Mandalorian. And I was like, I don't like how you look in The Mandalorian.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm in The Mandalorian. I'm really happy now.
I'm bummed that I feel like he's not going to take his helmet off now because they teased that it looks like whoever that woman is taking off his helmet. And that, I don't know if they would show that if he was going to, but who is that person? That's the most mysterious part of the trailer to me.
It's like Spider-Man.
It would be cool if that was the first episode and like she's getting ready to lift it off and he stops her and he's like, no, nobody sees my face.
Or nobody takes my helmet off but me. Or
or whatever. Yeah. It's like just precedent.
We're going to joke about that on Thursday on Resistance Transmissions. Just spoiler alert.
Oh, we are? Come on, no spoilers.
Ugh. All right. What else, guys? What else happened in this Mandalorian trailer? Or do we want to move on?
I want to point this out. Now, I know on our past Thursday episode with Ash, she talked about the music a little bit and how it's different from like John Williams. I don't think what we hear in the trailers for music is necessarily what's going to be the music for the show, because we've seen that in previous trailers for like Solo and stuff. Like the music is just way off base from what you hear in the show. So just because you hear something in the trailer doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be what the vibe is of the music in the show. Though, as she put it, it's not going to sound vintage Star Wars. So that's something to keep an ear out for.
I actually disagree with this, John. While I would normally I think that because this is the same music in everything that we've seen thus far, it makes me feel like, yeah, that's the theme, that's the show, that's the vibe.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then Ash, having seen the footage as well, she comes out of it and she's like, yeah, I don't really see or hear like mainstream Star Wars stuff. Probably because she heard a lot of this like Mandalorian themey, dark, ominous tones.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be action packed, and I just hope that there's character development with him and it's not just like wooden. So I think Favreau's going to bring that stuff out. My last take on this is I'm surprised at how not fan servicey the trailer was, because there's still a lot of people out there, like, you know, my brother and other people who like are like, is it Boba Fett, or what's the deal with this? What's a Mandalorian? Literally, I've been asked that question. So I guess they're not worried about the wide net right now, and maybe by word of mouth on this show's really good, you need to check it out, or people will just say, let me try this. They'll get into it in a vacuum and be like, I like this, and I don't need to know what Mandalore is necessarily. I'll go on the journey with this show. I guess that's what they're banking on, because the trailer, to me, it doesn't explain much, and it doesn't widen the net to a general confused Star Wars fan.
All my coworkers think the Mandalorian is Boba Fett, and I had to explain that it's not. And then he was like, isn't Boba Fett like the worst character ever? I was like, accurate. However, this is not Boba Fett.
So wait, Boba Fett's a Mandalorian? No, but he had the armor. And they're like,
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be great, and it's 8 days to Mando, James. So
yeah, my favorite indie band. No, I honestly, I think the trailer could have been better. I'm not exactly sure what it needed to do to be better, but I remember, and I started this with like, I feel like we saw a lot of same footage, and I'm like, you can't, like, I feel like we're getting more new footage out of Rise of Skywalker trailers that it's only like 2 hours plus than we are out of a show that has 8 hours plus of content. Yeah. They're showing us less new footage in this 8-hour series than they are from a movie that's only 2 hours. And so I'm like, you can't show us other stuff. You can't just show them walking on like a different planet in a forest. That doesn't give anything away, you know? Mm-hmm. But yet you're still showing me the same shot of IG-11, you know? The same shot of him walking from a distance in the desert. So I was kind of like, all right, a lot of same footage. All right, we'll see.
The stormtrooper helmets, they always start with that.
Stormtrooper helmets again, yeah. So I was like, okay. Like, I think we all said that when we're like, you could probably put everybody's trailer reaction across the board. I'm sure everybody was like, all right, same shot as we saw before. You know, like I'm sure everybody said the same thing.
Or did I put the right trailer on?
Like, yeah, exactly. Oh, is this trailer 2, 1? Yeah. All right, well then that's it for the Mandalorian trailer, guys. We're excited. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But let's talk about the new series coming from David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. That's going to be arriving. What? Sorry.
Netflix?
Oh. Nope. Sorry, not happening. There's a lot of stuff going around about this whole story. Everybody's heard it now, as of now, right?
Such dick.
Shut up. But these guys are out. We don't know, I think for certain that they left or they were let go or anything like that. But the story is of now, they parted ways amicably. They felt that they couldn't do both at the same time. They recently signed a Netflix deal and they didn't want to, try to juggle too many things at once. John, you want to get started on this one first? Like, what are your just overall thoughts on this whole thing? Like, we're going to talk more about it on Thursday, but...
Yeah, so I want to make sure we save Thursday for kind of like the deeper, put our hands in the clay and really try to hash out all the facts and that sort of thing.
Where does that come from? Put our hands in the clay.
Like you mold things
shape
together it. and mark it with a bean. Oh, ghost.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right.
It's actually Whoopie behind her. I just want to point that out.
Right, it's Whoopie. People are like, get it together, guys.
I'm sorry. I've had a full nitro coffee, so I'm a little all over the place. Go ahead, John.
So just like bare bones of this, and I'm sure by now it's, a week later, people are listening to this. So, I mean, they left and people are going to say, well, they got fired, and people start thinking Lord Miller again. They start thinking Josh Trank. They start thinking Colin Trevorrow. And I think this situation is a bit different. I think it really was kind of you have this other deal now with Netflix. We don't like that. Like, you want to work in Star Wars, you're working in Star Wars, and then you can go do something else. We don't like you having your one hand over here, doing this, and one hand over here doing that. That doesn't work for us. So it's interesting to me. Is it like, if you watch The Office, remember when Jim is in Stanford and his boss, Josh, like gets this new position and then he leverages it to get another position in another company?
Right.
It almost feels like Benioff and Weiss were like, all right, we have something, because Game of Thrones was their jam. That was it. That's on their resume. Game of Thrones. That's it. Bang. Then they're like, all right, we got on Star Wars. Nice. And Netflix is like, oh, that's pretty good. You guys want to come over here and do this too? So they like had Star Wars, and then Netflix called them, and then it's looking at the new girl with the girlfriend behind you meme, and you're like, ooh, Netflix. No toxicity there. It's just like, then they're like, all right, we're going to go do that. So I think it was one of those things where Kathleen Kennedy's like, I don't like this. And they're like, $250 million. We don't exactly need Star Wars anymore. And then they kind of fractured and split. So I think it's a different situation from Trevorrow, which was a complete creative disagreement. Because I think Kathleen Kennedy liked what those guys pitched to her, and that's why they brought him aboard. So I don't think it's a creative thing. I think this was more of a business thing. Whereas Lord Miller, again, creative differences with Larry Kasdan, you're gone. So while people like to lump all these things together, like Kathleen Kennedy can't keep talent around, they're all different situations. And the movie business works like this, and this stuff happens a lot. It's just because this is Star Wars, it's right in your face. I'm sure this happens all the time at Universal and all these other places and all down the line. And we've even seen it with these Batman projects that are finally going to be getting going after all these years of who's doing what. So, I mean, they're out, and I don't think there's a conspiracy behind it. Just looks like one of those things where business got in the way.
Lacey, did business get in the way?
Yeah, I honestly think it's a step higher than Kathleen. I don't think that everyone immediately says it's Kathleen. I don't think it's Kathleen. I think Bob Iger had something to do with this, because since they launched Disney Plus, as in like made the announcement for it, he's been drawing lines in the sand. Like, he left Apple, the board of directors of Apple. He's pulling but I think he also wanted to. I think he
okay.
He is pulling everything they're pulling everything from Netflix over the next year. So I think he's just drawing lines in the sand. And like John said, I think they probably viewed this as double dipping, like having one foot in one place and one foot in the other place. And at this point, that's like two competitors, or not like, it is two competitors. So why would you allow a big asset basically that you're banking on to then work for your competitor too? Like, you don't know what they're saying in closed meetings. You don't know what they're telling other people. I just think that's what it came down to. I think there are other things maybe that were at play. Like, there was some interviews that came out that people said were a little iffy, and the timing of this announcement came right after that interview. So there is some type of like, maybe. But I think that this stuff was in the works months ago, and it just happened to be also the timing of right now. But there's a lot of questions, which we'll get into on Thursday, obviously, of like, what's next then?
Yeah. And reasons beyond business and dealings that
Right.
are valid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I my opinion on this is going to go real quick, and I might be swayed. You guys might be able to sway me one way or another. But my initial thing after reading all the articles and everything,
Sure.
money, 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 money. That's literally the only reason in my head that they left. I seriously 100% were like, it's just a job. It's like anybody that like moves into another position. They had a job. That job they ended or whatever, right? They were looking for everywhere. Like, who will pay us the most money? We're up for auction right now. Looked like it was going to be Disney. They were going to pay him the most money. So they're like, that's cool. We'll do that. Then somewhere in the process of that all finishing up and Game of Thrones ending and all that stuff, that was their next job. That's where they were going to go. Netflix came along and said, actually, I'll tell you what, we will pay you more money. And then they go, we like that. Sorry, Disney. Looks like we're not going to be able to do both at the same time. So when given the option between less money and more money, bingo, bango, boombo. I don't even know if that's it. We are going over to Netflix. End of story. That's it. And we'll figure out the politics behind it of when we announce all this stuff. But I think the red flags were right when they announced that Netflix deal. That's when everybody should have been like, oh, okay, well, they took another job.
A big job. Yeah.
Yeah, they took another job. So are they going to be working at McDonald's right now? They just got a job as a lawyer. Like it's just like that's just,
Star Wars
that simple
is
to me.
McDonald's and Netflix is a law firm.
No, I was trying to draw extremes of
of money.
Is more
Star
than
Wars.
that. Paid more than
Next
that.
on,
Yeah.
Tonight at 11. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. James is loving it.
Bingo, bango, boombo.
Boombo. I don't know.
All right.
I do agree, James, that is the catalyst in all this.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it than that, I think. But I guess we could dive in Thursday.
Yep, we'll do it Thursday. Last thing on the Resistance Report this week, Wedge Antilles.
Antilles what?
Until he what's is returning in Resistance Reborn, the novel. They released an excerpt. We can speculate all we want about what that means, him coming back in the movie. I'm currently in the process of reading it right now, so I have things to say about this. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Lacey, what'd you think of this? We talked a little bit about this privately, like in a chat, but
Yeah, the first thing I'm going to compare it to is like when I read the Thrawn excerpt. Remember we talked about that? I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one. I loved Resistance Reborn. I thought it was great. I loved that it like brought back an old Wedge who's like got like space chickens and he's just like living his life, but like he has the aches and pains that he's earned along the way. Like it's awesome. And then in the excerpt at the end, he finds out about the status of the Resistance and, Leia and Luke and all his friends. And it's heartbreaking. And it's the first time I read an excerpt being like, wow, where is this going to go? So I'm super pumped for it to come out. And I really hope he's in the movie because the excerpt alone, I was like, oh, I love Wedge.
yeah. John, what did you think of the excerpt?
I think it's good that Wedge is back in that regard. I feel like that is a good sign for him for the Rise of Skywalker. I think that's kind of setting the table like, hey, diehard fans, Wedge Antilles. A lot of casual Star Wars fans may remember the name, so let's get the name back out there so that when he does pop in the movie, people are like, oh, that is him. That is the guy from, the original trilogy.
Right.
The excerpt, like, it's so weird to me because I toe this line where I have a difficult time with how the books are written narratively sometimes and how sometimes the characters don't sound like the characters to me, and I get that. And you need to write books differently than you write movie scripts and all that. I understand that. But picturing Wedge is like a chicken farmer and he's like, I'm just like reading this and I feel like it's at an old farmhouse and he's wearing like overalls and he's got a straw hat and he's all banged up, leaning against the wall, and he's all hurt up. That all aside is fine, I guess. You had to do something with him to get him away from the battle and putting him on the outer edge of the outer rim, and he's doing farming, I guess, is the way to go. Even though we've seen farming can lead to death sometimes. Owen Lars is testament to that.
I thought you were going to say Galen Erso.
Galen too. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Or
A farmer?
you're right. Yeah. So I guess don't be a farmer in Star Wars because people will find you and try to drag you back into the war.
Don't be a farmer.
Don't get into farming. No, but the one thing is like when they brought up the deaths and he's like, Leia? And he's like, no, she's okay. She's not doing so hot. But,
yeah, they threw that in there. That was a big note to me.
And that is, again, just hammering home the point from The Last Jedi where she's like, I don't know, follow him. And that was her handing the baton off to Poe saying he's the leader now. That set us up for The Rise of Skywalker. This type of stuff is fortifying that by saying like, oh, she's not in a position. Here's why. She's still hurt from the space explosion, all that stuff. But when he heard about Luke and he said, I thought Jedi lived forever and that sort of thing. And the Legend of Luke Skywalker stuff popped back into my head and all that stuff. So I like that. But overall, I don't really care about the Snap Wexley and his mom is now with Wedge. That's fine, I guess. I'm not a big Snap Wexley guy. Good for Greg Gunberg to get into J.J. Abrams movies, but I just like that Wedge is back. I think in a very simplistic form, it excites me, and it's one last hurrah to get him back in this last movie, and I think this type of stuff sets the table for that. So I hope that comes to fruition. From everything that I've heard, he is going to be coming back in the movie, so I'm excited.
I think the Leia line sets it up that she could die or is going to die.
Yeah, and we've talked about that we're starting to come back around to the idea that maybe they're going to close the book properly for Carrie by doing that.
Because that line really stuck out to me, and I forgot about it until you just brought it up now.
She's
it's
not
like where they're
doing
like,
well.
oh, she's not doing well. They could have left that out. They could have been like, oh, she's fine. The fact that they said, oh, she's not doing well, I was like, oh no, she's gonna die.
Yeah.
James, you have a better picture of this though, because you've read more of the book.
Yeah, and
Have you,
technically,
have you listened to the whole thing yet?
no, I'm about 3/5 through.
Right.
But you are watching this on Monday, and I will be done, and I most likely will have done my spoiler review with Kyle Larson, which will be out tomorrow
Where?
on Star Wars News Net's YouTube channel. The same place you're watching this video.
Hit the bell.
Subscribe, click the bell,
Leave a comment.
smash that like button. No, but yeah, so I don't know fully what I can say. Like some of the stuff I'm like, yeah, I actually know why they did this. You know what I mean? Like why Wedge is a farmer and stuff like that. So
Sure.
some of those things they fit in. News to you, John, is that he's in a relationship with Snap Wexley's mother, but that's old news to anybody
it's
who's
old
read the
news,
Aftermath books. So this is just picking up off of that. A non-spoiler review just of the book in general is that like it's everything you want if you've been reading the comics and the other novels and playing the video games and things like that. They're doing a really good job with fan service in this one as far as like making characters important, making their storylines close out properly and all that stuff. And just so many familiar faces and reasons to get into this book. But I will say I was kind of surprised that they used this as an excerpt because I was tearing up. Like I won't say I'm crying, but I was like feeling it. Like I was like almost about to when listening to the audiobook at this exact excerpt, because the audiobook dramatically reads the lines.
Yeah.
They add the music for that emphasis that pulls you back into like a nostalgia feel. And it's good. It's good. Like one of the best novels I think Star Wars has released since the purchase. It's going to be like in my top 5 easy, but we'll see about top 3, top 2, top 1.
Do you think because of the inclusion of potential other characters that have been around, that sort of thing, does that serve as the vehicle for that versus doing a massive fan service Easter egg cameo session in The Rise of Skywalker? Or do you think it doesn't matter? It doesn't affect one way or the other?
Because I want the fan servicey thing in The Rise of Skywalker, it makes it seem to me Like, how do you go out of your way to introduce how important these characters are months before those final battles and then not show them in the movie? That seems really odd to me. Like a book that completely sets up, like for instance, Catalyst totally sets up Galen Erso. So is Galen Erso going to be in Rogue One? Yes, he was there because he was in. They set him up as a character that was important.
Where is this?
Even though it was just like a cameo
in the year, and then I don't want to drag you out too much here, but in the year between TLJ and TROS,
right at the beginning.
Oh,
like
okay.
It picks up like on the Millennium Falcon.
Oh wow, okay.
But no, very, very good. I don't know. Some characters I think definitely are in Rise of Skywalker, and others I'm like, well, that person's not alive anymore in real life, so I don't know. It could go either way, with a lot of these characters. So, all right. Yeah, that's it. That's it for Resistance Report this week. Now, as we normally do, we're going to do a segment called The Scoundrels Rundown, but it ain't looking like what it used to look like. So, Lacey, let's go on The Scoundrels Rundown.
What?
I am the captain now.
Oh. Here, take him.
I won't take him, but we can punch it on 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Punch it! Well done, John. Guys, this is a new revamped Scoundrels Rundown. I put in a new compressor. I'm a new captain. We're ready to go places. And those places are updates about our show and what we're doing and what's coming up, which is so exciting. So first of all, coming up this Thursday, the 7th of November, we are updating Patreon. It is 1 year since we launched Patreon, and we have all these new things that are coming. I don't want to give everything away, but one of the benefits now is a Patreon-specific Resistance base Discord. We launched this about a week and a half ago, and people love it. It has all different types of channels, from the Rise of Skywalker, spoiler channels, dad jokes. I mean, come on. Main chats, make Solo 2 happen, everything. Toys, collectibles. We've already had people. I went out to Target the other day and saw something and was like, hey, does anybody want this? And I've already shipped it to them. So we just help friends helping friends. We've also got some new tier names that you'll see on Thursday, and we will continue to produce mini episodes, including Rumor Review, which you guys get early access to, Lacey's Outpost, other cool videos, and you get the episodes all a day early, so you don't have to wait until Monday or Thursday. You get them Sunday and Wednesday, which is really cool. Also, coming up, as you know, we're super pumped for The Mandalorian. We're making a Mandalorian-specific show called The Mando Fan Show. It's going to be hosted by John, with James and I jumping in from time to time, and we'll also have other special guests. And you can follow along with #MandoFando, which John came up with. So while you're watching the episode, make sure to tweet that hashtag, tell us what you think, and we're going to include those thoughts and questions and stuff within the show. And last but not least, we have an upcoming guest on Thursday, November 21st. And it is from Fantatrax, Star Wars Insider, StarWars.com, and the Star Wars Celebration stage. It's Maerk Newbold. We are so excited to have Maerk on. We've been kind of waiting for this to happen, so he's coming soon. Woo! We're really excited. Yeah. But because I'm the captain now, Chewie, get us out of here.
Oh. All right. Lacey, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The new rundown in the house. I can't believe it. I had this whole other rundown I was going to do. Then the new captain came in. And then, Just get at it. I used to do that in the rumor reviews, to crumple up the paper.
People loved when you did that, by the way.
I got to bring that back.
But John, doesn't that mean that there's other changes right now?
Yeah. So I'm now the guy who handles the questions around here.
Questions.
Yeah. So this is what we call Ask the Resistance.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
All right, guys, as you know, this is how it works. We put out a call for questions. You send them to us, or you just tweet out using hashtag AskTheResistance on Twitter, or fire them over to our resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. Wherever you prefer to send us questions, we pick some of them out and answer them. So we're going to get into that right here, right now, as always. And the first one comes from Jordan Delgadillo at Delgadillo Art. How are you, Jordan?
Hey.
Thank you so much for the question. Jordan asked us, do you think they'll use any visual or practical / makeup effects on Ewan McGregor to age him or further bridge his likeness to Sir Alec Guinness in the Kenobi series? Lacey, let's start this off with you. What's your take on this one?
Well, first of all, they shouldn't touch Ewan because he's a piece of art. And I don't think they should touch his face at all. But away from that.
I call him the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. Kenobi. He's Kenoboy.
Oh
my
God.
Gosh. It's happening. So, yes, I think they're going to use makeup to make him look a little bit older. Although we've seen him on talk shows for the past week and a half for Dr. Sleep, right? It's like The Shining. I'm never going to see it. It's a scary movie. But that being said, I think they're going to use a little bit of makeup. But he's looking pretty Obi-Wan Kenobi right now with the beard and the hair. I'm curious to see where they're going to... Are they going to leave him looking like a hermit? Maybe. He's still attractive. Yes, they'll use makeup. I don't think they need visual stuff, though. I think he's pretty at the age right now. Yeah. Right?
It's close. Yeah, so not to jump in on your jam here, but... No. I think I worked
You've said jam twice tonight.
Guess what? Jam. 3 times. Bingo bango boombo. It's back, baby. So yeah, by the time he starts filming, he'll be 49. And this is supposed to take place 11 years before A New Hope. And Alec Guinness was 62 when he filmed A New Hope. So that's 13-year difference in age, 11-year difference in time. It's pretty close, though. I have to say, all due respect to Sir Alec Guinness, looked a little more weathered than Ewan McGregor. So they may have to, like, gray him up and stuff, you know?
Well, you know what they say? Ewan is like a fine wine, aging wonderfully. So
they do say that.
They say that.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yeah, great job, Lacey. And thank you, Jordan. Great artist, by the way. He is fantastic.
Yes, excellent.
Yes. Next, Edmund Zippo at Edmund Zippo. Way to get your handle, Edmund. One of our biggest YouTube commenters. He's one of those guys that leaves like 5 comments per episode. So thank you.
Keep doing it.
Yeah. James, this one's going to you. So this one is from Edmund saying, when George was in command, pushing the boundaries of technology in his movies was one of his main concerns. Apart from Rogue One's Tarkin, I don't think that the new movies really innovated. What crazy thing would you like to see in future films from a technological standpoint?
This question could be a whole discussion, honestly. I was like racking my brain trying to think how I'm going to answer this quick and easy. I think that the technology of movies now has much smaller jumps. Like we're trying to solve things like, how could I get his pores to let in more light? You know what I mean? Like all these things that are breaking, technological advancements for where we're at right now with technology and computers and all this other stuff. Whereas before, having a fully CG character was a massive technological advancement. Now it's like, yeah, that's pretty common to see that among even lower budget movies. There's so much there that is being done that most people don't even notice. That it's hard to say that these movies aren't making technological advancements when they're these big budget things. I actually think that the next big wave of technology in cinema is probably more likely outside of the movie in the sense of like James Cameron doing 3D. I know now that's like almost a laughable, like gimmicky thing, but I think there are things that we can do as far as like projectors, screens, higher dimension rates of like right now every movie is displayed in 2K, believe it or not. Moving up theaters to 4K projectors and things like that could be the next technological advancement for cinema that we don't need like computers and CG to fix.
Wow.
So that's, I don't know. But yeah, we
and
could talk about that
all the things
on
we're
Twitter.
hearing about the room from The Mandalorian and what they're able to do with that. I mean, I feel like they're constantly changing and evolving. So it's a good answer, though. And maybe we should have that discussion one day. So thank you very much for that, Edmund. Keep commenting like James said. And thank you, James. Good answer. Next one, JF Kocher at JF Kocher. Another person just getting that handle. Good job. They said, is it possible we'll get a live action movie streaming series with an alien, parentheses, non-human, character as the lead? I'll grab this one. I don't think so. And the only reason why I think that is because Star Wars really is a human story. I know it takes place in a galaxy far, far away. It's very fantastical and all this going on. But I feel like you need the human element, and it's built on that journey and that coming of age. And you are that, like you see yourself in Rey's shoes or in Luke's shoes. You are that person and the family and all that stuff. I think that's the core of Star Wars to me, what sets it apart from science fiction stories and that sort of thing. So I really don't think we'll ever see a Star Wars movie where it's like, yeah, this is a Gungan as the lead or a Neimoidian or something like that or whatever. Or that's why you're not going to get a Yoda origin story movie where Yoda's the lead. I don't think that's how Star Wars operates. I think you'll always have those supporting characters that have big roles, especially like James just said, with the technology. You can make a more believable looking supporting full CG character like they did with Jar Jar in a sense, and not take you out of the movie or show with that. So I think you'll get more of that, but just not as your main lead. So that's my take on that. Thank you very much, Jay. And next, our last question comes from Julie H at NY_Jedi, New York Jedi. Two things I like. Okay. All right, guys, all of us quickly on this one. Do you think the characters from this trilogy will come back in the future, or do you believe this is really the end? I know we've talked about this a bit, but we can give a quick, direct answer on what we think right now. So we'll start with Lacey.
So wait, what's the question?
Do you think the characters in this trilogy will come back in the future, or do you believe this is really the end?
No, it's not the end. This is the end of the Skywalker saga, as in Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, Leia Skywalker, like their story.
And who else?
Kylo Ren. Skywalker?
He's a soul. I don't want to talk about it. So that's the end of their story. And the reason that took me a second is because for some reason in my head I heard a double negative, and I was like, wait, what am I saying? I think that the story of Rey, Finn, and Poe is going to continue. I think Daisy Ridley is way too young, and so is John Boyega, to not use them again. And I think they really love it. And I think they would like to see the story continue. And look, they got Rey in the parks. She's not going anywhere. So they can make more movies. So yes.
Nice. James?
Yes.
Yes, they'll come back?
Yes.
Okay. I agree. I've been saying this for a long time. I think, especially now, with the news about Benioff and Weiss and what's the future of Star Wars movies, the more problems they're having establishing the footing of what Star Wars is without the Skywalkers. You have this successful platform already set up. It just would make zero sense if they were like, no, we're done with all of these characters, even though they're in their 20s and would accept lots of money to come back. So
right.
I think they'll come back, and like we said about the evergreen characters, Chewie and R2 and BB-8s, they can they'll outlast us in movies, right? So I think they will come back, Julie, but let us know what you think, and let us know what all of you guys think in the comments about all of our answers on all these questions, and keep sending in your questions using hashtag AskTheResistance. Anytime we'll find it. Just use that hashtag or email us if you don't like being, your question seen in public, you're a little nervous, shoot it to resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. But make sure you're always following us at RBATSWNN on Twitter, and you can be on the show. We'll talk about your handle, give you our best answers, and have some fun. So thank you. All right, guys, that takes us towards the end of the show. First, I want to make sure that in addition to following us on Twitter, you guys are subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. Spread the word about the Resistance broadcast. We are growing. We're noticing a lot more feedback on our episodes, a lot more views, and it's all thanks to you spreading the word. Thank you so much. So keep telling your friends who like Star Wars. Maybe they just got into Star Wars. They just saw The Mandalorian and want to get involved. Tell them about our podcast. Like we said, we have the Mandalorian Mando Fando show coming up. So that might be something that they're interested in. And in addition to that, if you're not sick of us this often, like Lacey said earlier, our Patreon page, go to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Get involved. We are reviving, redecorating. I don't know what you want to call it.
Redecorating. Let's go with that.
This Thursday, 11/7, with a lot of new awesome stuff on the page, including that Discord server. So go check out the page. We still have 5 tiers for you. $2 gets you into the Resistance base to check things out and become a part of the Resistance there. We appreciate all the support, especially from our Patreon generals. That's Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you, generals. And speaking of Val Trichkoff, make sure you're heading to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. And as always, TeePublic, if you want to get your Make Solo 2 Happen shirt. All I'll say is make sure you get yours before Star Wars Celebration next summer. Guys, you can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and over at Star Wars Newsnet. James, how about you, buddy?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks. And I also want to throw this out there too. Last week, I put a comment on our YouTube video and I said, finish my sentence. And I wrote right? My intention was not to have people say, Force is strong with this one, but to have it like a chain. Like the next person puts another word, and then so the next person would write bird, the next person write goes, the next person comments to, the next person comments the, and I just wanted to see like where it would go. So remind me, and I'll start a chain on this video, and we'll see where that sentence takes us.
What's the word?
Hopefully to Lacey, so she can say goodbye.
Yeah.
The first comment's just going to be the Force is strong with this one, which, by the way, you guys, if you follow me on Twitter at Lacey Gilleran or on Instagram at Lacey Gilleran, but mostly on Twitter, you will know that I hate this phrase. And I wish that people that run brands would stop using it. And guess who used it today?
Star Wars Newsnet.
Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars? I think Star Wars Newsnet used
about
it as
Hayden
well.
Christensen. They used the Force is strong with this one, and I went no at my computer. But
so if people want to get you mad, they should say
it's just lazy. It's lazy social media phrases. Just like so and so won Halloween. Like lazy. I'm living for this. Lazy. Mm-hmm. It's been done. Move on. Also, I own all 3 of these shirts that we're wearing right now for YouTube people.
Wow. Anything else?
No, that's it. Sorry. Bye.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back here on Thursday, where we're going to talk a lot more about our takes on the Benioff and Weiss exit from Star Wars. Are we happy about it? Are we sad about it? Why we think it went down? Is it a lot of moving parts? Is it just business? Is it more of creative stuff? Is it your fault? Not your fault, not our listeners, but other fans. Is it your fault? Is it just money? I don't know. We'll get all into it on Thursday. We got a Patreon pod race. And again, Patreon relaunch Thursday. Exciting times. So enjoy your week, and we'll see you right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.
It's my fault.